I once heard a radio interview with a bluegrass band, and they were reflecting on the process of them becoming a true bluegrass band. And originally the band, when they had started, they had a lead singer and a few other players. But slowly they decided that this just didn't make sense for their genre, because in bluegrass, it is all about the band. There doesn't need to be a lead. The picker, the fiddler, the bass, the mandolin player, all 2, 3, or 4-part vocal harmonies are equally important. It is all about the band. And the music that happens when the band shines together, not backing up just one player, but creating individual sounds that come together to strive and make the whole band better, to create a sound that is honest and unique, that cuts through the noise, is moving and true. It has to be all about the band. In many ways, I think that's what Paul is reminding us of, that's what this community centered around Jesus, this thing called church, this gift of the body of Christ, is all about. We are called to play not for ourselves, but for the band, to harmonize, to offer a melody when it's our turn, to round up the sound or provide background, to create a community of care and compassion for our neighbors. We are invited to sound our love and our gifts and our thanks. Paul reminds us that we are asked by God to move from the comfort of church parking lots and sanctuary pews and instead become full participants in the music of our faith. Paul is writing to a community in Corinth that is in the midst of a large urban center. It is racially, culturally, ethnically, and religiously diverse. The congregation is fighting. Different church groups want power. The Board of Christian Education thinks the deacons don't respect them, and the deacons think that the hospitality group with their amazing coffee hours is just stealing their glory. There is the group that clusters in the pews at the end of church, arms folded across their chests, whispering in concerned tones that the past is just not being respected. Last week, the brand of coffee used during fellowship hour was changed, and this whole business of changing the font style in the bulletins, what's next? The church pew cushions? Where does it stop? Because this is definitely not the way things have always been done. The good news is this church in Corinth, they're family. The bad news is that they're family. Their church is looking different by the week. There is a new guard and the old guard, the first-time visitors yearning for a rich and vibrant faith, and the forever members who want to hold on to the comfort that has always been the home church that has housed their faith. There is concern that those in their community who might be a bit more disadvantaged and outcast in society are being overlooked and marginalized amidst all the infighting that is taking place in this church. To some degree, I'm pretty sure that has been every church everywhere at some point or will be. To some degree, I'm pretty sure all of us who have called church a home have been or will be those churchgoers that Paul is writing to. Because this church, this is our home. And when you love your home, when you love this family that we call church, it is only understandable that our faith and our love for it is fiercely protective. But maybe that's the problem. Maybe church needs to be a little less home and more of a wild tour bus, housing an amazing bluegrass band traveling out into the world, ever evolving, that produces a sound, a music that says things with the harmonies and melodies and our varied and unique gift that our words fall short of. You may have not pictured yourself ever being part of a band, let alone a touring one. You may not have thought that the seemingly matronly woman who taught you about Jesus in church school could pull off ripped jeans and a dyed pink mohawk, but she can. You may not have thought that that man who sits 4 pews back, who sings every hymn loud and off-key, could harmonize, but trust me, with a guitar in his hands, he plays like nobody else. You may not have thought that that child who piercingly cries regularly during the silence of prayer should ever be in a recording studio, but sometimes when the rest of the band builds a quiet soundscape behind her, she'll hit just the note that's going to make a hit go platinum. This is what God has done. God has created a body that can produce amazing music, a body where hand and foot, eye and ear, tough skin, and incredibly vulnerable vital organs are equally important, equally beautiful, and need each other to survive and thrive. A body where, in order to survive, it is necessary for each of us to shine together, to see each other, to draw out and allow the space for each of us to discover the gifts God has given us, as varied and unique as they are, as different as they make us as individuals. God has created a body where we get to bring those gifts together, allowing the richness of their diversity to be heard and seen and felt, allowing the richness of their unity to be more than the sum of their parts, so that we might become a song that sings praise, offers thanks, and shares the love of Christ. Now, here's the thing about being part of this touring band of the body of Christ, rather than a home people come to, or even a house band that has taken up residence. It's not always easy. The sound changes as you pick up different roadies and band members along the way. The sound changes when you're exposed as you tour in the world, and you are no longer able to filter out the beautiful richness of God's creation. And it can't help but shape us and open us up in new, exciting, and frequently challenging ways. And let's be clear, tour buses are wonderful places where you are vulnerable and exposed, and you get to learn the quirky and fun sides of people in unique and unexpected ways. But after a time, they really smell. And occasionally, because God is merciful, you'll be noseblind to it, but rest assured they still smell, and it can feel cramped, and some days you will just want to kick that seat in front of you so hard because you can, and that person is just being annoying. It takes fierce love to produce the music of God. Some days it takes sheer willpower to move beyond the walls of this house of God and out into the community, traveling around, sharing the love and gifts God has given us, responding to our neighbors. It takes fierce love to love as Christ loved, to see all members as the body of Christ, to let all shine in their beautiful diversity and join in, not just the people we are most comfortable with. It takes fierce love and bold courage to believe that our brand of song is something worth sharing in the world, to be a church rooted in sharing the challenging and wonder-filled love of the gospel. You as a church are at a beginning. Your church has changed. You look different as a congregation 25 years ago, 5 years ago, and you'll look different months from now. And the world has changed and will keep changing alongside of you. But the core of who you are is still here. That thing that brought you to this place, that love for the divine, the knowledge that you are deeply loved and called to love your neighbors, that has not changed. And so you are at a beginning bringing the knowledge you have always carried. But the shape and medium of it, that has changed. Today you are installing for the first time ever co-pastors, who I have the privilege of knowing to be hilarious, compassionate, thoughtful, gifted individuals, both personally and professionally. They complement each other, just as you complement each other as a church. And they are taking on this challenge of being co-pastors, of together with all of you learning what that means, as two people sharing one full-time position, and to create space for Sabbath and music making, to create time for allowing their gifts to shape and flourish along with yours as a congregation, to figure out how you all will fit together and make beautiful harmonies and create time to share the gifts that you have in this community. And part of your responsibility as a congregation in this covenant is recognizing in this beginning how deep your gifts are. You have rich and abundant gifts. You will need to discover and rediscover them, learning how, as a community of God's people, as Christ beloved, you can share them and complement all those who come in and out of this gathering of the body of Christ. You are also at a new beginning in deciding who you are, who you will be in this world as a church, and deciding if your voice matters enough to risk sharing it in the world. I believe with all my heart that it is. I don't need to know you to know that. I know Sarah and Andrew well enough to know and trust them that if they said yes to you, that's who you are as a congregation, that you matter enough to share your voice in the world. But even if I didn't know them, I know that you have chosen to be a church, and that the love of Christ is too important not to be shared, that its place must be on a wild, raucous tour bus, filled with members and friends of an amazing band that believes no matter what they look like, no matter who they are, no matter background or circumstance, no matter how big or small that they may be, no matter the resources, they still believe so deeply that their music has a place out in the world, that their music can offer love and healing, advocacy and justice, and that the band is big enough for everyone. Believe that for yourselves. Believe that for your church. Believe it so much that love overcomes fear. Believe it so much that wild, risking hope and bold courage are your prayer. Believe it because Christ loves us beyond our wildest imaginations. May it be so.